Did your doctor, when it started to come back after you, took the doxycycline, the other antibiotics, was your doctor like, let's try something new? Or was he like, maybe it's in your head or maybe it's something else? What was the response?
Well, so my family practitioner never really, he gave me some doxy, but he was never convinced that it was Lyme, although I had all the symptoms and I had them written down. And I never got the proper diagnosis through the Western blot and through everything. So I kind of gave up with him. I found a specialist that was at a center in the city, and then we worked together. She gave me the longest duration of antibiotics, but she was kind of threw her hands up after a while and said, hey, you've been on these for too long. Some of these symptoms are candida symptoms and it's bleeding over. I think we need to consider, taking you off this. And, I wasn't feeling, and we sent my blood to, the lab in Palo Alto, IGNX, or I think that's, and I had a few bands, but not enough for the my insurance company to call it Lyme. So I even went back to her and I was like, I'm not getting better. I'm panicking. Can we do, what does it cost out of pocket to do the IV antibiotics? And she's like, no, that's crazy. That's like $1,000 a day, and then that's sort of where I stopped with her. And started looking at some more local, options here in the Hamptons and doing some more alternative stuff. But I was certainly, I was hitting dead ends for sure. After seeing a few people in the city and then, trying to figure it out through other routes.
Yeah, most Lyme patients, they go through that, right? They navigate from their general practitioner to a specialist. They go through the antibiotics, then a little bit of alternative medicine. And all the time, you're just becoming more and more jaded, it seems like, because you're like, what's going to work here? It's been a couple of years now, probably in your case as well. And you start to doubt whether anyone can help you.
It was probably 5 years in by that point. And, you keep trying new things and you start scouring the internet and looking for options and and that's a rabbit hole for sure. And you find things, you're like, looking at all the symptoms. Oh, I have that. That's me. Oh my God. But then you're also trying things, you find some good colloidal silver, or you find, other blogs that recommend certain things that work for them. So you try, some things work great, but once as you get, and it's funny because when I started this, I was younger, so I was still very social in my life. But one of the things, you kind of coin your own terms as you go through it. And I talk to my parents, my family, and say, I always just say to them, the longer it takes, the more serious you get at trying to get better, because I was still in my late 20s, and I had a lot of friends, and people would be going out on the weekends and hanging out and drinking and socially, and so I tightened up my diet, stopped with sugar. Not that I ever really was a big sugar person, but you read and you say sugar is not good for inflammation, and then dairy and gluten, all those things. And then alcohol, of course, is part of that. And, so then I said to myself, okay, well, I'll just drink one night a week, and then, so you try that, and that, and then you get so hungover, any sort of alcohol you have, it just explodes, and any of the bacteria will feed off any of that bad stuff. So, that didn't work, and then you just like, okay, I'm going to try and hang out with all my friends and not drink, or not, try to be social. And then I decided that didn't work. So then you got to dig a little hole and you got to hide from everybody, and then you're still trying to live your life and work. And, for me, I had started my business at that point and I was fighting through it. And stress is another killer, which probably is my weakest link, through all of this. But it's just a battle the whole way through, and you got to kind of work through it and figure out what's working and what's not working and keep trying.
Yeah, this is the part of that I hate, when people you got to live with Lyme, because as you mentioned, you're a young guy, that robs you of, what most young kids do: go out, drink, party late, do those things. It's not
Yeah.
healthy, don't get me wrong, but it is the social construct. And even one night a week, I would say in a healthy person is not a bad thing in your 20s. Don't do it into your 40s and 50s and keep partying and like drinking. You probably can't, anyway. But I know so many people that say they were kind of robbed of those things, that their 20s weren't really there because they had to live with Lyme disease. And that's the part that really kind of pisses me off, when there are other doctors and these organizations that are like, you're just going to have to live with it, and that has to be your life moving forward. I don't think that is a truthful statement. I do think everyone's different.